So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Mr. Morain, CIO of Volo Africa, and I'm very glad to be given this opportunity to present you one of our major products, the eBusiness Pass, and thanks to Creditinfo and EMA. So I will take approximately 20 minutes to go through the presentation. You can watch. Then I will take time to discuss with you about it. And as you can see on the first slide, our main subject is about enhancing trust in business. So in order to understand why trust is a particular matter to us, let's go quickly through the topics that I will talk about. So on the next slide, as we can see, I will start introducing us, then explain a little bit what are the challenges we meet in Africa, and what Volo has found to be solutions. So then I will explain to you more precisely what is the eBusiness Pass, and in particular the eBusiness Pass dashboards, showing you detailed infographics and geo-infographics, and how we use the map to display information. I will end up showing you illustrations of the application, and after that we'll be able to discuss. So the first point is, of course, to introduce who are we. Like Volo Africa is obviously an African company that was formed to address trust information needs in Africa. We have offices in Dakar, Senegal, in Banjul, in the Gambia, and Washington, D.C. Actually, it is Volo Africa has been created by African people who have been studying in the U.S. and they created a company in the U.S. to bring technology and innovation in their country, in Africa, and that's how they created Volo Africa. So our solutions have been deployed globally across multiple countries in West Africa over the last 10 years. So now I'm going to explain to you what is the aim of our company and why it tries to solve, which are the challenges we've met in Africa. So actually, Volo has realized that whatever the business you try to run, the first problem you have is about identification. Identification is always at the heart of African underdevelopment. Whatever project you want to set up and implement, one way or the other, you will be facing this problem of identification. One of the most known examples is access to finance. So in order to access to finance, banks need to be able to trust you, and in order to trust you, the first thing they need to trust is about your identity. So this is one of the first challenges that is common to quite any operations you can try to run in Africa, and that's what Volo has identified as a major issue. Then the second one, that is also very common to all projects, is the lack of addressing system. So just to make it very simple to understand, if you want to send me any letter through my postal address, I just don't have any postal address. I'm in a street which has no name. We barely know the neighborhood's name, and that's it. So obviously it won't be possible for me to receive any letter from you. And the only way I can do it is to have what we call a BP here, which is going to get it at the post office. So no addressing system, and also very often actually we have multiple addresses. Like you have your main address, which can be different from the billing address, which can also be different from what we call the village address, where we can find people very often actually if they are not at their main address. So things are a bit different when it comes to addressing, and we need to take that into account. Also, we have some issues because of the infrastructure and the unreliability of the data. That means we need to, when we create systems, we need to take into account that this system must be able to work in an environment where it degrades well. That's how we say it. That means that it will be able to work with, for instance, no power or no internet connection, and still it must work. So this is a third issue, a third challenge we have to take into account. And the last one is that most of those issues are especially concerning people that are at the bottom of the financial pyramid. So one of the most known examples are the women. So not only these are problems that touches any country in Africa, but they really have more impact on the bottom of this financial pyramid. So now let's go and see what Volo is proposing as solutions. On this slide, you can see that for every challenges, we've been working on proper solutions. These solutions are not just solutions on the paper. These solutions actually are coming from our experience on the ground. So for instance, when we were talking about identity, we know that documents that are issued are very inaccurate regarding the information, and we have bribery and corruption problems that we have to deal with. So one solution we found to be very efficient is to index all the documents and information on biometric identity. Doing this, we know the source of those documents, and there is accountability of the information thanks to the identification. So biometry and document indexing is one solution that is working pretty well for this kind of issue. We also have been facing the problem, of advances in printing technology. Like today, you can buy very cheap printers that could give pretty good results like that if you're not an expert. And that makes it very cost effective to forge poor quality official documents. So Volo has been deploying some techniques to enable printing locally some very high quality cards that are very secure. We call them the VTIP cards, and they are very difficult and expensive to counterfeit. One of the other example of solutions Volo have been deploying is when it comes to the poor data entry practice. So basically, again, we have deployed a lot of tools, and as you know, very often tools start by requesting you to input some data. And here we have issues about the quality of this data. When we are collecting the data, we have problems to deal with the errors. So we gained a lot of experience in software heuristics to automatically process and correct the data that is inputted. First of all, we simply try to avoid as much as possible any declarative data and work with automated measurement systems that will provide data input. with non-human interaction, and that's the easiest way to avoid errors. But even for manual data input, we do have some systems that are able to auto-correct it to manage different cultural habits. For instance, you can express the same information in different manners, whether you're speaking French, you're speaking Portuguese, or you're speaking English, simply. So being able to normalize the information, make sure it is properly stored, even if it has not been properly inputted, is one of our ability, and we are very good at that. We've been working really hard over the last 10 years to be able to autocorrect data inputs. So these are 3 examples of Volo solutions. And all of these have brought us to deliver a solution that now I'm going to introduce more in details, which is the eBusiness Path. So the eBusiness Path is about bringing business intelligence in real time with ranking and trust. So let's go through those titles. What does it mean? First of all, eBusiness Path is a business intelligence and operations platform that allows companies to access multiple opportunities for growth. Like, as all the products, and this is one of the major characteristics of our products, whatever we develop, the objective is to benefit to all the community those products are deployed in, and especially those who are, again, at the bottom of this financial pyramid. So we want to create tools that will help people and businesses to access growth opportunities. This is real time because eBusiness Path will link all those businesses, especially the MSMEs, with their business partners, their clients, their banks, and all that in real time thanks to the internet connectivity. Ranking, because this shall allow the businesses to be ranked both by our clients and partners. Ranking is also a way to have the community itself participate in evaluating the degree of trust. It's also a very good incentive to bring everybody to do their best in order to achieve their challenges. So all that is about bringing trust. Trust is the key feature of the product because it creates this trust between the business and their partners or clients by providing multiple verifiable information about the business itself. And we use systems like GPS, location, that's one way to solve the address issues, the sectors, the turnover, etc. So I will be able, thanks to the business path, to have access to a big database of information that I can trust in that are tied to a biometric ID. So people are accountable about that information. And that is in using the latest technologies in order to make it very efficient for business intelligence. Now, that's what we can see on the eBusiness Path dashboard on the next slide. That's what you will observe when you open the eBusiness Path for the first time. As soon as you have given your credentials, you will be able to access information about, this is a sample about MSMEs in Senegal. As you can see, we have more than 3,100 SMEs that have been registered, out of which only 176 have insurance. and out of which only 358 MSMEs have accounting system. So this dashboard will give you detailed information such as legal forms, credit per sector, insurance coverage, accounting system, and so on. So it gives us a very good overview and segmentation of this overview of the network, of the market. On the next slide, we can see that we can also access detailed infographics. All that trying to provide an easy view, an easy understanding of the market we're working with. And for instance, if I'm targeting the sector of tailoring, I can see that this is the first sector in Senegal. And what is interesting here is that we are not indexing the data according to these worldwide foundations that have their own indexes, but using what we obtain from the ground. Like tailoring, you will never see tailoring as a sector in any official index. But in Senegal, actually tailoring is the biggest sector, and it's twice more than the next sector, which is retail, family, clothing, and stores. So what it shows here is that we cannot use the classic approach in order to understand the African market. We need to start from the ground, and through that information from the ground, build a system that is detailing and segmenting the information so that it can be used efficiently. We can see also on this slide at the bottom that we are able to know who has obtained a credit and from which bank. Like Microcred in Senegal is the first credit provider for those SMEs. So above the segmentation of the data and the fact that we use on-the-ground information to structure the system, we can see on the next slide that we do have geo-infographics. Right? For those who know Africa, actually geography has always been a big matter in Africa, especially when it comes to distance. Distance is very often a big obstacle, and that's why actually mobile phone has been developed far more quickly than landlines. Mobile phone is actually more developed today than electricity in Africa. This is one of the very special thing about Africa. So talking about distance and being able to watch the information on the map is really a key point when you're trying to set up any kind of operation. So here we can see that we have more than 2,000 companies that are registered in Dakar, which is capital of Senegal. And we can see those companies on the map. And going to the next slide, you will understand how we use geolocation map to help you understand about those companies, because you can click on a company and obtain directly, obviously, the name of the company, but also the name of the owner, the sector, the business phone, the turnover range, whether this company is insured or not, the number of clients they used to have every month, if it has an accounting system, sorry, and if it has a website, and a lot of information like that. And moreover, I can click on this View Enterprise Photo link in order to see a picture of the business. So each balloon represents a business enrolled in the system and gives you straight access to live information. As soon as we update the information, it is updated on the map. Now, in the next slide, illustration, we can see what the picture looks like. You see, it's not a big business. It's not a big building. It's just a small shop that is in the street. And why that? Well, first of all, because 90% of the economy in West Africa is about MSMEs. They are the majority of businesses in West Africa. Second, they are small. So what it means is like it's not very easy to identify them. We can have GPS coordinate, of course, but this GPS coordinate will bring me in front of the building, and in that building there will be maybe like 3, 4, 5, 10 or 20 shops. So how can I identify, even with the GPS coordinates, how can I identify the shop? Well, that's where the pictures is helping us to be sure that we are addressing the proper business. And what is interesting on the next slide is, as you can see, one other particularity of the businesses here. We were watching here a building material and a hardware store, is that many of the businesses are actually selling a lot of different products. So that's one other thing that the eBusiness Pass will help you understand, is what type of products are sold by those businesses. Products or services, actually. This is, there is a huge keyword system that helps you crawl about the database, like for instance, to be able to know which are the businesses that are selling cement, like this one. So we've seen here a good overview of what the eBusiness Pass is. This is an online tool that gives you information about businesses, but the particularity of this tool is that the information is trustable. And this is what it is all about. On the last slide, you have a picture which shows the synthesis of how we do enhance trust in business. Because being able to have a database about businesses, that's not new. It's like many decades we've been developing tools like that. The particularity is not to have developed a database about businesses, is to have developed a database that we can trust in, that we can use as a foundation to start any operation. Actually, you can replace business with whatever entity name you want. That could be a government managing a network of citizens. That can be a company managing a network of distributors. That can be a foundation managing a network of companies to help. That can be an insurance managing a network of affiliates. So there are many ways that we can implement that tool as a foundation to bring trust in the operations you're trying to set up. This is the eBusiness Pass. So, yes?
Thank you, Arnault. That was a very interesting presentation. Does anybody have any questions for Arnault? If so, you can either type them in the chat box and I'll read them out, or if you'd like to unmute and ask directly.
I don't have a question, but I would just like to tell you that I think this process is very impressive, and I'm very impressed, and hopefully we can contribute to develop it even further.
Thank you very much.
That was Peggy from Iceland, Arnault, because I know you can't see on the screen.
Yes, that's right. Just maybe to give you an idea of the context, because it's highlighting a lot of the aspects I was talking about in this presentation. Right now, I'm talking to you from a big event of the ACBF, which is the African Capacity Building Foundation. So it's a foundation that tries to improves development in Africa. And as many other foundations, we could talk about the Millennium, the Millennium Objectives. I mean, there are many objectives that have been set for Africa for over like 15 or 20 years. And they are all the same. They are always the same. And it's like 10, 15, 20 years. People are trying to do the same thing in Africa with not exactly the results they are expecting. As I was saying, 10 years ago, electricity, everybody knew that electricity was a bottleneck for development in Africa. And today we've realized that actually electricity has not been developed as much as we could expect. But as a counterpart, internet connectivity has been developed a lot. And today Africa is the second continent after Asia in terms of internet connectivity. So that may be strange, but that's some of the contradictions of Africa that makes it very special. So do you people have some questions about the system itself or the reasons why we need this kind of system here?
I'm just curious, this is Emma obviously, like the images of the outside of the shop and the inside of the shop, are they being sent to you by the actual shop owner, or are you going out there and collecting that data yourself?
Actually, eBusiness Pass is run by surveyors that we have been training to go on the ground and to retrieve information. So that's our guys that have been taking the pictures. But actually, there are two levels of implementation. One way is we are the clients. As I was taking the example of a company trying to manage a distribution network, that could be the same example. They can decide to send the team on the ground to retrieve the information. But you could also trust the network itself, for instance, to update the information or to provide information like the pictures, because in the end, there is this ranking system. Like if citizens, people that are going to work with one business realize that actually this is a fake picture, then the ranking will decrease. And obviously, that will not help this business. So because of the ranking, this is, let's say, a second solution to make sure that the information can be trustable. But obviously, the best way is to send your own surveyors to retrieve the information you want. And we do have some systems to counter-check the information that has been sent from our surveyors or from a provider, if we do trust the provider in updating itself the information.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the detailed response. Are there any other questions, guys? I think silence is golden, Arnault. What I will do is that this recording is going to be available on our website. So if anybody has any questions at a later date, then I'll make sure that I put up your contact details. Okay, so you may receive a few emails.
Exactly. Okay. All questions will be welcome, and we'll be very glad to answer you and give you some information.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Hima.
Thank you very much for your time today, Arnault. As I said, much appreciated, especially taking time away from your very important conference.
No problem.
Today. Okay,
no
guys.
problem.
All right, then.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye for now.